I'm assuming you clicked on this video because you want to learn how to be a more interesting individual, in which case I'm not going to waste your time. To me, it boils down to three things: your lifestyle, the action you take within your lifestyle, and your communication abilities. And breaking this down, what do each of these mean? When you are living an honest lifestyle, true to yourself, when you're authentic, taking action to do the things you enjoy doing, such as going to the gym, reading books, exposing yourself to new knowledge, going out where you can actually meet people in real life, and doing it in a way where you actually enjoy your life, right? That is how you can start building up the lifestyle where you are an interesting person. Just think about it. Are you living a life where you're getting outside, where you're pursuing your hobbies, interests, things that you could actually talk about and say, oh, I do this, that's an interesting thing? Because if the answer is no, that's the first step you need to change in order to actually be a more interesting person. If you never see people outside, how can you ever hope to express yourself and make them think you are an interesting person? Right? For example, I do track and field. It's nothing crazy, but I regularly see people outside on the way to track practice, at track practice, and on the way back. I strike up conversations. I have conversation about track and field. I have that part of me that is interested in this activity, that enjoys doing it, and when I have something to talk about, if I bring it up, I know what I'm talking about and I can offer an interesting perspective on the matter. So living an honest lifestyle is critical, because if you don't choose, if you don't make that space and create the life you want to live by yourself, other people are going to choose the life you should live for you. They're going to force you to go to university, force you into a job, force you to do things that you don't necessarily want to do, but you do it because you aren't choosing for yourself. So start by figuring out, what do you enjoy doing? What is authentic to you? What do you want to do in your life? And how can you start taking action on that? YouTube, for example, I want to become a YouTuber, so I started this. For example, track and field, a sport that I enjoy. It doesn't have to be track for you, but join an extracurricular, do a sport, do something like a social activity. Find your ways to go outside, take the transit system and talk to people on the bus, right? Find ways to be more interesting by exposing yourself to interesting opportunities. Because from there, the next step is taking action. We all have these defense mechanisms in our mind. If you struggle to talk to people, if you struggle to be interesting, you may feel like, oh, I need to do all of these things before I can truly talk to someone, before I can show myself for being an interesting individual. A lot of this is rooted in fear. Fear, anxiety, all of this other stuff holding you back from just being you. First, the thing you need to address here is, you're not going to be interesting unless you actually take action and speak to people about whatever it is. And so in this, your mindset should be about effort. You want to take action, regardless of where you are right now. If you're not interesting, if you live at home, if you're a bit of a slob, right? That's okay. You can start changing that. You can accept where you are right now and start changing it. But you can also work on just taking action. If you want to talk to that person, you go up and talk to them. If you want to say hello or you want to crack a specific joke, you do so. But you prioritize your needs, what you want to do, and you do it. Not in a weird way where you're taking advantage of other people or whatever else, but rather, oh, okay, I want to talk to that person. They look interesting. You ignore the subconscious story your mind is telling you where you're not good enough, you're not interesting enough, you cannot do so, and you embrace the effort. You get that growth mindset where the effort of trying to talk to people is the most important part, because that's how you build the skills in the first place. That's how you get better at talking to people over the long run. If you don't talk to them, if you don't take action, you're never going to improve. And then from there, communication. When you can communicate what you're trying to talk about, when you can articulate your thoughts, that is when you can actually carry the conversation back and forth, right? Because if you have a good lifestyle, if you can approach people and talk to them, but you can't communicate, you're not really going to have a conversation at all, right? So how do you communicate effectively? How do you actually talk to people and get better at it? The hard truth is, you gotta have two things: authenticity, and you just gotta talk to a lot of people. And this sounds terrifying. It's oh man, I actually have to put in work to talk to people? Yeah, you do, but it's not as bad as you may think. If you change your mindset on what success looks like, you may find yourself talking to a lot more people than you thought you could have. Because the focus, the emphasis should be on being your authentic self and talking to as many people as possible, right? Just the effort of saying hello, and even if that's all that happens, right? That is success. That is progress in the right direction, right? Your focus shouldn't be on trying to make the other person think you are interesting or trying to make the other person think you are an amazing person. You should just be an interesting person and put yourself out there. Some conversation, like yesterday, I was in the change room. I said hello to a guy, and he went to his locker. He's like, "Hi, how are you?" And then he just leaves. He didn't really talk to me. He wasn't interested in continuing a conversation with me. But that wasn't a failure on my part. He just wasn't interested. I talked to other people and I had good conversations with them. That doesn't change the fact, right? Some people will be interested in speaking to you, some people won't. All you have to do is test for interest. See if the person you're communicating with is actually interested in speaking to you. If they are, great. You can work on your communication skills by being authentic, right? By being yourself, talking about what you are interested in and not being afraid to say it. If the person isn't interested in talking to you, it's okay. It's not their fault, it's not your fault. You can move on to the next person and apply what you learned from that situation. If you made a mistake or if they just weren't interested in you. It's all about getting the repetitions, talking to more people, pushing yourself out of your comfort zone in that way to become better at it. I sucked at this in high school, but that does not mean I was doomed to failure, right? If you felt like you've never been interesting in life, that is not true. You are capable of change. You just have to take the action to do so. Because it comes down to you. If you want to change, if you want to improve, if you want to become the interesting guy you know you could be, you gotta take action. So that's all for this video. I hope you found it useful. I tried to be as concise as possible while being as articulate as possible. But besides that, have a good one. Consider subscribing. Bye.